And we're live.
Mm. Salutations, y'all, and welcome. Episode 6 of Office Hours. This is a multicultural global community where we all come together to discuss brand strategy foundations presented by Core. We are your lovely hosts. You have myself, Keone Chong. You have the lovely Mary Gribbin, and you have the powerful Jose Caballer. As always, we ask for you to like and subscribe. And as I mentioned earlier, this is brought to you by Brand Strategy Foundations. This is by Core. Core Discovery is a simple way to help any brand understand, prioritize, and focus on a clear vision and plan to help them achieve their goals. It's branding for the 21st century. How does Core work? It really focuses on brand alignment between the culture, the goals, and the users. Being able to align the essence of who you are with your customer needs and ultimately with your business goals. It's the marriage of culture and commerce. If you're interested in Core, check us out. We're available at coreismagic.com. And we are brought to you by the Systm. So that you guys understand what the Systm is and how it relates to Core, and you're like, what is this? What's going on? So the Systm is the company behind Core, and it's a social learning experiment. It's tools, community, and guidance to empower the next generation of creative leaders and builders to redesign the world. So
You're in it right now. You're in the system right now. This is
the system. In it.
Exactly. We're the system. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about our agenda. We're going to have our drop-in. We're going to talk a little bit about what discovery is. We're going to do a core Q&A, and then we'll dive into the download and the upload. So another really quick treat that we're going to have is we're going to do some live building today.
What is discovery? We're going to have a little bit of the first client meeting live on it, because we're looking to. Well, why don't we do that during the drop-in? And you model and I model.
Okay. So let's start.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Lead us. You are the pastor here, not me.
So let's start with the drop-in, right? And the drop-in is really how we connect with each other. And, you know, it's important that you guys are heard and that you guys are felt and that we connect on a human basis. So I'll model that, and I'll model what that looks for you. So it starts with your name, location, and then the question. So today's question is, have you facilitated a discovery process before? And was it a positive experience? So my name is Keone. I'm located in Los Angeles. And I have facilitated probably hundreds of discovery processes by now. They were generally positive. When I first started, I struggled with being able to have really positive discovery experiences. Clients may have felt like it was positive, but by the time we moved into our production phase and our strategy and synthesis phase, it wasn't a positive experience. And that's actually what led me to Jose. I was looking for a way to find a better way to have a more powerful discovery process. And I came across Jose in This Week in Web Design, and the rest is history. So I'll hand over the mic to you, Jose.
Thank you, Keone. I'm Jose Caballer. I'm a designer. I live in Los Angeles, California, and downtown. I've been facilitating Core for almost 20 years. For like 15 years, I've been using the framework. It's evolved over time. It's changed, but fundamentally, it's basically the tip of the iceberg. It's just the first few things that you need. And that was because we were doing startups and they didn't need everything. They just needed a little bit. So I'm excited today because we just met earlier. We need to do our landing page and we need to do the Core is Magic landing page. And Alex Zorrita was kind enough to introduce us to someone, and we'll tell the story live because it's super beautiful. And we're just gonna let you guys in on that introduction, almost like a theater play where we'll reenact the meeting that we just had a few minutes ago, so that we can hopefully benefit people, and so that you can ask questions about what we need and what we're concerned with, the client point of view. So that's my drop-in. Thank you, Patricia, for introducing and letting everybody in.
Sweet. So, Jose, how do you think we should do this? Should I read a few more drop-ins?
Just read a few more drop-ins and let some new people. Every time when new people that haven't been here before, very curious why they're here, and to make them feel welcome. So I see, or like people who don't speak often, like Roxana, have Alex introduce himself, have Linda. We haven't seen Linda in a long time.
Yeah. Linda, would you love to come up on the stage and drop in?
Hi.
Hey, Linda.
I've actually been working in the retail for a few months now, which is why I haven't been here. Just to help make ends meet. And what I've actually learned that I can apply is company culture. I've worked at a couple of different places and am amazed at the difference company culture makes for the management and for the employees. One of the places I've worked, what they say their company culture is not what it is. And it's kind of a downer to work for them. I'm an artist, and it's an artistic place that I was working, and it was depressing to go there. The other place is less artistic, but the company, the management, and all of the employees support each other, and it's a wonderful place to work. So what I found out is that, again, you can say your company culture is whatever you want to, but if you don't actually implement it, it has a definite effect on the people that you're engaging with.
Oh man, I'm reading a book right now that is about so much about that. Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last, why strong teams come together and why some teams fall apart. I definitely suggest checking it out. Because he does, the social mechanics, the anthropological mechanics behind it are really incredible. But thank you for joining us, Linda, and thank you for dropping in. So glad to see you.
It's good to see everyone.
Yeah. We've got a couple newcomers in the room. Alex, would you like to come on stage and drop in?
Everyone. I'm Alex. I'm awful. I'm horrible doing this, but I never know how to introduce myself. But basically, I'm a designer who started to talk about design in Spanish online, and I don't know, things got out of hand a little bit, and now Keone and Jose are helping me to deal with it.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and your experience? Have you facilitated a discovery process before? And was it positive?
Yeah, I'm from Canary Islands, Spain. And yeah, basically, I remember one of my first big clients here, a local client. I did strategy with them and they were mind blown. They didn't know, they had experience working with agencies in the past. And they told me no agency had done anything like this before. And they loved everything we did together. And yeah, a strategy like changed my life. Yeah, that's the truth.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we'll do one more. Lonnie, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing on this lovely day? It's lovely here in Columbus, Ohio.
That's what's up, man. So the question for the drop-in is, have you facilitated a discovery process before, and was it a positive experience?
Yeah, definitely. Have done a few. It's always, to me, it's like really exciting to get to know, to start to have a really broad, knowledge gap, and then kind of whittle it down deeper and deeper as you get to know more and more about a brand, and build that relationship with the folks running it. And it's always great to, like, you know, see them have epiphanies and kind of treat it like, you know, you're solving a mystery, and, you know, kind of feels like you're kind of mapping out, you know, the whole photos with the board and the strings and everything, and kind of piecing everything together to get the full story.
You feel like a madman. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, everybody thinks you're crazy. It's like, you know, you're out of your mind. This is out of, you know, but it's all good. Loving it.
You are out of your mind, right? You're above it. You're actually observing yourself, observing the room.
Like right here, right now.
It's like when you're in a rave, right? Like you're like out of your mind because the music has elevated.
Oh yeah.
It's the state of fugue. It's in the Bible when it says, "And the king danced." That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing, Lonnie. And, you know, I want to read a couple from the audience. We've got Emily Hassan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who's in the UK. She said 7 o'clock here. So she's putting the toddler to bed, but she wishes she could hop on a mic. We've got Bjorn, who's in Bellingham, Washington, graphic designer. And he's done a couple of discovery meetings, smallish, very positive. We get the happy face. Love the happy face. Mauricio in Colombia. And he has a few times, and it's been a really interesting and lovely experience. We've got Cassie, who's in Goodyear, Arizona, and she's been facilitating for a solid year now. She says it was really exciting and fun in the first few experiences, and she loved it so much. And now she's focusing her company's services on core. Lovely. So glad to hear. And then we've got Arsenije. Is that what you've done, like between 20 and 44? So multiple times. And it was a positive experience. And as he says, it is the best part when it clicks, right? When the alignment happens, it feels like magic. So yeah,
and I want to note that we have some famous entrepreneurs in the house. John Sension, who's a longtime friend, started a company called Flight One, which was 26 locations in retail. He sold it 3 years ago. But he's a designer who built a non-service-based business that went global and that had tons of retails. And he's a fellow member of the diaspora. ¿De dónde tú eres, John? ¿Cuál es tu país de origen? What's your country of origin? Mexicano, beautiful. Adriana está en Mexico City. Pape, we're all from the diaspora here, so it's very inspirational to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, Keone, take it away.
So, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about this story so far, and you know, we're preparing for launch. So we've got the Accelerator program. Some of you that are already in it, I'm going to ping you guys so that you guys can start like playing around, because I think it's really important that I get your feedback from it. And but what I would love for us to kind of talk about today in the story so far is I'd love to introduce Roxana and Alex and talk a little bit about what we're doing. And, you know, this is about us building publicly. So we definitely want to share like what we're doing internally for the system and for core and all of the subsequent products to follow. But right now we're in a challenge and we're trying to figure out who we can bring on to the team to really help us manage the digital portal, you know, the landing page, the website. And so,
and we expressed it, you know, to Alex. We've been sharing it with a few people that we're really close to. We're asking Mauro to help us, you know, with managing the design team, because one of the things about culture, and you mentioned it at the beginning, it's kind of, we're remixing the conversations here, because the comment that was made, you know, in the drop-in by Linda about company culture, you know, what we're doing is completely new, meaning like what we're trying to put out into the world is how to work and live together with a bit of a Latin vibe. It's like Zumba, but for design. Like we don't want to be in stiff corporate places. And then suddenly you start attracting the people you start attracting, and you're like, wait a minute, Keone and I are my grandpa and my uncle playing dominoes and like hanging out, right? You know, it was just the way we grew up, right? So when we want to work with somebody, bringing somebody in our own culture makes sense. So we started working with Alex. The insight came from us doing our core. Like we were like, wait a minute, here's the profile we created, but let's really be honest. Who are the people that are showing up? And I saw it last year when I did personal core, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm showing up over and over again. Somebody in Latin America who speaks Spanish, who's a designer, who's trying to figure out how to build their business. It's me 10 years ago. So the point about all that is that we want to show that when you start discovering yourself and who you are and what your vibes are, then you start attracting people with your own vibes, which become your clients, and your clients are originally your friends. Like Johnson Sion and Dario, the guy who designed his empire, you know, at the beginning, was an amazing designer, also Mexican and Argentinian, and also super fun to hang out with. I bet you and Dario had some crazy nights and evenings and working on. Yeah, he's laughing like, right? Because it's really about community.
All over the world.
All over the world. We got to travel the world. All the people that I worked with, if you listen to the story of she was an early, she helped build the core kit, the first core kit.
With the A.
Yeah, she's Puerto Rican. She's a beautiful woman. She's like, we traveled everywhere like pirates, doing projects and doing work. So it's people that you really want to spend a lot of time with. So what we want to share today is that. And go ahead, and Alex and Keone, you guys set the rest up, because I'm the client, and I'm gonna. Well, actually, no, I'm not the client. Everyone on this call is actually the client, because we're all the users of the system.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really be nervous, Roxana. These are all clients.
So let's start at like a top line. And really, you know, generally speaking, in a discovery process, what we would do is we would talk a little bit about, well, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to weave this together. We're going to integrate. And so Jose and I, before the conversation we had this morning, and this is all on the fly, guys. So like none of this is planned. We'll sort of plan, sort of not. We know the theme. We really know some of the things that we wanted to discuss. And I have them here, right? So we wanted to talk about the why, the process, and the mindset. Mindset is super duper important because I think having the correct mindset is what really allows for really powerful discovery processes. The why is super important because it anchors all of the extensions of what it is that we're going to build. And that's super duper important. And then you have the process, which is, of course, how you go through identification and alignments and development and production and then execution. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to actually go through what we were going to discuss with you, and we're going to use ourselves and this entire experience as an example. How does that sound, Roxana? You ready for this adventure?
Yeah, I think so.
So let's do this. Let's start with the mindset, okay? So, and Jose and I, what we'll do is we'll talk about these 5 elements of having a very strong mindset for you to feel confident in stepping into a discovery process. And so let's start at a very high level. What's a discovery process? Just about every agency has some sort of a discovery process. Sometimes they're questionnaires. Sometimes they're full-on work sessions, like we prefer. Sometimes they're like full-on ethnographies where they'll come in and they'll sit down and they'll study the entire, brand and do interviews and do incredible levels of research as their discovery process. And that's if you're like leaning on the research side of things. But it's really important. This is the mindset for having a really great discovery process. First and foremost is cultural context. And Jose, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the cultural context is understanding like for us right now, right here, and Roxana, ella habla español, nos introdujo Alex Zorrita, todo, cuando dijimos en el screenshot que está en Core Tribe, I was saying, oh my God, we're the same tribe. Fashion, everybody's like looking like they belong. Like if we were a band, it would look like a cohesive band, right? So you want to make sure that you're aware of the people that you're attracting and who you're doing business with. Because I hear the complaint a lot, like, bad clients, dishonest clients. It's because you're fishing really far away from your tribe. And that's okay, but you just got to find the very successful people in your tribe. That's why I introduced John Sancion, not because he could be a client, but because he's an example. He's in our tribe and he's an entrepreneur. He worked with my friend Dario, who's also in our tribe. He's Latino, etc. And I'm not saying that you have to work just with Latino people. I'm just saying is that if you're going to vibe, you're going to vibe, right? That's it. That's cultural context.
Exactly.
Like Papa is working with his friends who are developers in Panama, and it sounds like they're having a blast. Like I want to go down there and like work on that stuff, right? Because it's my tribe.
Totally, man. And and I think about and Jose Mauro, who was my business partner for years, and he saw this. So many of our projects. One of our largest clients, Formosa Group, came because another partner of ours, Mike, was in a band. I think he was in a band with a gentleman who worked at this creative sound design agency, and they were struggling. And he just put the word in. I went and I met with the team, with the executives, and they're like, okay, great. Let's take a flyer on this opportunity. Let's do a small project. That small project turned into a 3-year, over $100,000 design gig. And it was because that opportunity came from within our network.
So I'm gonna read all of them real quick, and then let Roxana use them to interview us. So situational understanding is what's going on right now. So like this is like so we're in a meeting with a bunch of people, and the Systm guys need or girls need a website. That's kind of what's going on, right? That's the future. What are the politics in the company? What's going on? There's people in here in the tribe that are working on the design, and I'm working on with us. And I'm not gonna say who they are. It's a secret. We use the secret handshake. The social awareness is that it's the politics of the what's going on. Like you came highly introduced, so the first thing to do is have Alex introduce you to the Cold community. He's your hype man. Personal taste. What is the personal taste of the people that you're going to be working with? You're seeing it here. We have the mood boards. We have core. Pape did our core for us. He did a really great job. So you'll have all the resources you need to figure out what the look and feel is. We have design already, like some style guides that are being developed. The content is really the most important thing. And then the point of view is your point of view. How do you come in and bring your point of view and what it needs to be to the engagement? Like we want a little bit of your mix, of your flavor, of your personality to be in the work. Because we're not doing, here's what we want. We're doing, let's co-create it together. And whatever comes out is exactly what needs to come out. It's a whole different way of working, right? It's like a band, it's like a jazz band. Yeah. We're creating art, and our art is our life. And it happens to also be business, but it's all integrated. So that's like the DJ set of all of those principles. And now Roxana and Alex, or Keone, you introduce Alex, and then he'll introduce Roxana. That's how the meeting would happen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hermanas y hermanos.
Say a little bit about him, who he is, why you love him.
Alex is an incredible creative with tons of poise and really deep insight. Like he really sees the potential and opportunity. And just within the conversations that we've had and the kind of questions that he's asked me has really given me a lot of understanding into his personality and the impact that he wants to have on the world. And he wants, to create opportunities for all of us. He wants to be able to allow for us to move beyond the hard skills and just creating a logo, and learn how to create powerful brands, powerful communities, and to do so in a way where we can be sustainable, where we can have balance in our life and not struggle with art or design or finance or any of these things. All of these things can just flow naturally and within our community. So Alex, I'd love for you to step to the stage, man.
Man, that was a great introduction. I don't know if I will live up to the expectations, but yeah. So basically that's what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to explain to the Spanish speaking communities of creatives that all you said, that everything can flow, and we don't have to fight with clients. We can be no, we should be allies with our clients, and changing this mindset. I think it will require a long time and a lot of work, but I think it's gonna be totally worth it. Talking about Roxana, actually, so you can imagine I have like I'm almost nearly I almost have like 20K followers on Instagram. So on Instagram I posted that I needed a web designer. So having a creative community, you can imagine how many web designers got in touch. But interestingly enough, I was speaking to Roxana already. We had conversations about stuff, but I didn't know she was a web designer. And when she told me, hey, did you know that I work with Webflow? That's honestly all I needed to know. I didn't need to know anything else, because everyone was trying to sell me so hard. Everyone was trying to tell me, look what I can do, look at all the integrations I did with WordPress or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for for a real connection and for someone that really understands what I'm trying to achieve here. And I know for a fact that she understood it, because we talked every once in a while, and yeah, she followed you guys. She follows Jose from his time at the school. So yeah, to me it was like the most of, like, I couldn't choose anyone else. It was like,
say something personally about her, like what the interaction of working with her, like how is it like working with her? Like when you introduce somebody to a client, it's been smooth, it's been amazing. She does this, she does that, whatever it might be.
That's an interesting question, because I don't connect easily with everyone. I mean, being honest, and with her, it has been all the opposite. So, we are chatting all the time, and sending memes and whatnot. We don't only talk about, work. We talk about everything else as well.
Nice. Dope. So, Roxana, I'd love for you to come to the stage, and talk a little bit about your friendship with Alex, and then we can sort of dive into these 5 points.
Well, first of all, I need to take a little bit of breath right now, because I am getting too emotional right now, but that's okay. So yeah, this has been an amazing journey for me so far. I've met Jose thanks to YouTube that introduced me to one of their first videos, and then yeah, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is free, and they are bringing so much value to the community, and I'm sure they are taking this away. So yeah, I need to like eat all this content so I can, yeah, I think I maybe improve, yeah, my work, but also my life in a way. So yeah, that leads me to follow, well, Jose, Chris, Ran Seagal led me in a way to Alex. We started to speak like 1 year ago, and then he helped me like choosing the name in a way from my podcast also, and yeah, and I'm blown away with the relationships I'm building in this last few months especially, and with Alex I feel the same way. It's been amazing because I also have like a hard time connecting with people, and with him was like so easy, and even online that is always hard to work that way. So yeah, I'm really grateful for being right now in this moment. So yeah,
thank you so much for sharing, Roxana. Like, your guys' story is beautiful, and it's really an example of alignment, right? Alignment between values, alignment between outcomes and expectations and personalities. So really excited, for this collaboration that's blossoming right before us. So let's talk a little bit about these 5 points, and let's get our mindset right, and then we'll dive into the why, and then we'll finish up with the process, and after that we'll dive into the core Q&A. So any questions that you might have with existing problems, with strategy that you're working on, core projects, any and all things, we'll open up the floor. Sound good?
Great.
Excellent. So we talked a little bit about the cultural context. Jose shared, and I'll share as well. For me, coming from the Caribbean and being of the African diaspora, I've always kind of looked at core as an opportunity for the global community. How we can really build this inclusive environment where of all the diasporas can come together and really understand that there are tools here that as I mentioned with Alex, can allow for us to really build powerful brands and really build powerful businesses, and create how do I put it? Create opportunities for brands and creatives and builders, whether you're a thinker, whether you're a leader, whether you're a developer, to build things that are culturally significant, and to be able to have ownership in it. In the US, one of the things that I see that breaks my heart all the time is how, in particular, African American culture and how it's commoditized and used by all of these companies out here and being sold off, and the true originators of it, right? The cultural creatives don't really have the opportunity to have ownership in it and to be able to leverage it. We see it in the Hispanic community all the time. We see it in the Latino community all the time. So how do we address that, and how do we create opportunities behind that? That's really my specific cultural context, but it's in complete alignment with all of the values and all the principles that we're talking about. So that's the cultural context. Let's talk a little bit about the situational understanding, and I'll go, and then Jose can go. Situationally, we are we're re-entering this global audience, this global world. Jose has sort of been on a journey for the last few years. I've kind of been on a journey for the last few years, and we've come together and we're okay, now it's time for us to really start broadcasting our message. It's time for us to really start creating the content. And, we've started with this community here. We're sort of integrated into Alex's community, but there's other communities that we need to also educate and give awareness to. And, content aside, we need to start with a landing page. So that's my situational understanding. Jose, any thoughts?
Yeah, so my fear, I've been doing web for a really long time. I have two huge fears. One is how messy the process is and emotions, and I don't want to be the bad client and hurt people. When I'm in control, when I'm in on the captain's seat, I have all these tools, right? Core, experience, etc. I try to make the experience as easy as possible for my team and for them, because my team early when I started my agency, I had a mutiny. It's like a pirate ship. The team was and my ex-wife, who's one of my first teachers, she took me into the office and she's like, you don't have to be an asshole to be a leader. And I'm like, huh, really? I thought leaders were that guy whipping, and that's what I saw in in my people, and that's how we lead in the Latin America. You have el patron, is over there telling the guys that are chapeando, so that's all the models that I had for leadership was, the patriarchy. So when she said that you can be yourself and you can be nice, I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, so all that trauma about making websites for 20 years and 10 years, I am blocked. I can't even direct the project of doing the whole landing page for our own thing other than me doing it myself. So clients, sometimes I call it spurn lover syndrome, that when clients are very and you have to draw it out of them because they're fearful of a negative experience in the past, either with someone. So doing this and confessing that in public here, for you to hear, Roxana, that's my biggest fear. And then then you have to ask the questions, and you have to ask, so what do you guys need? And almost treat us like we have PTSD. And now you have to, Keone's in one of the, everyone is involved, right? So we have to facilitate everyone's needs and tastes. And Papa's just wanting to say something, or he's just typing. Anyway, hopefully that helps everyone. That's what's being unsaid. If this was a client meeting, I would be like, I need a website. We need a landing page. We need to increase our sales. What I told you is the real story behind this. All those things I know we need to do. I mean, yeah, come on. But what's the real story? What's really happening behind the scenes?
Yeah. And I think that really like that opens up the next topic, which is social awareness, right? And I think a big part, let's talk about that, because Alex actually touched on that a little bit in the chat, and that is, how do we, the social awareness is, how do we share this message that you can build powerful brands without the colonial ideology, right? Without the capitalist drive. How can you build a brand with how do we say it? Connection is the currency.
Yeah,
right?
Connection is the currency. That's another one, Pape. Connection is the currency. I got that download coming off the Playa, because I camp at Burning Man with all people in the crypto space, and everybody's talking about NFTs now. We were talking about NFTs 3 years ago. The point is that when I got off the Playa, I'm like, oh my God, connection is the currency. It's not about money, because the tribe can survive if you're all connected and you know each other's story. Si tú conoces el vecino, como mi abuela le compraba en la Navidad a toda la comunidad, le compraba arroz y habichuelas y aceite y le iba casa por casa, la gente que necesitaban, right? Esa comunidad, gente pobre, nunca le faltaba nada. Y nosotros que somos ricos, con miedo de que nos vamos a morir. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous.
For that. But to talk, and this was something that actually came up from a conversation that Jose and I had the other day with a friend of his who was an actor, and it was this crazy conversation. And this is like we were talking about Bitcoin and slavery, and I had this incredible epiphany, and I was like, you know what? The first social currency was actually slaves, right? When you think about it, their value existed. They shared their stories in a linear format, and their connection was a currency. Our ability to connect and hold each other together through that incredibly traumatic experience, where literally our family and our culture and our spirituality and all of these things, our names are being stolen from us, but we managed to stay together and we stayed strong. And why was that?
And we put it into music, and we put it into spoken word so that we would remember our stories.
We remixed it, right? And that's like the root of the social context, and America's wealth has been built off of that concept, which is a lot of people are like, oh, this shouldn't talk about that. No, we should talk about that, because we're trying to redesign the world. We're trying to create new frameworks for us to build brands and to build communities, and it can't be based off of capitalist ideology. It can't be based on anything other than connecting with one another and being able to translate value in human ways. So that's the social awareness component. Let's dive into personal taste. So Jose, I'll let you start here.
Yeah, so I was telling X that the reason why we use this font that you're seeing in the bullets, and also the font in the, so the way that I designed the Systm identity was by choosing a bunch of fonts and mixing it up and having it be like this messy remix. And part of it was to see what kind of came to the surface, but also the statement is it could be anything. And we are very diverse. Everybody is fat, skinny, tall, blonde, brown, black, whatever, doesn't matter. So all the fonts being different makes it look really oh, whoa. Also, because in online right now, or in general, if all the designers are clean and only 2 typefaces and everything is in one thing, it all looks modernism is was fucking 100 years ago. The future we're going into, it's not gonna have any logos. It's not, we want the world to be messier and more natural. So I'm thinking of the Dominican Republic. I moved back to downtown LA, and I was walking around trying to remember, why did I move to downtown LA from Venice? It's a lot more peaceful. Actually, it's actually very similar. And I went out, might have been microdosing mushrooms, but went out in the street, and I heard that I closed my eyes and I heard Spanish, and I heard kids crying, and I could smell like the taco stand, and I can like, because it's in the fashion district, and I'm like, oh my God, I moved back to downtown because I wanted to go home. Get it? And all the signage are different, and the letters, and it's like all very, I'm in Latin America suddenly, right? So the design aesthetic is that, what you've been seeing for the system is that. Now, Keone and the metaphors in the cultural scape that we made, which is like mood boards, there's this whole space pirate and like electronica music going on, theme and vibe, and like the DJ stuff that when he DJ'd at KPFK, and I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So Mauro loves these techie, like round cornered fonts, like the one that we chose. And I knew that we were going to get Mauro to come help us. So I'm like, might as well just put the font that he's going to like using, because he's going to do it anyway. So let him feel comfortable. So the fonts are the representation of the cultural like scapes that we made. And we worked with younger designers to help us do our stylescapes that were in their 20s, and they were showing the stuff that they're looking at. So it's a remix. I am trying to mix and make sure everybody's voice is heard in the design, that it's not mine and it's not the 20th century. It's all our individual's voice. So if the identity looks like every time we post something, it looks like Pape, or it looks like, you know, Bjorn, or it looks like, you know, whoever designed it, cool. Because that's how the internet looks anyway. It's a commentary on the brand and on the future in general. The future with an E. Exactly.
I was just trying to pull up our brand brief so that you can actually get a feel for it. And what we did is because this is such a expansive idea, what we did is, instead of making a typical stylescape, we made a culture scape. And we did that in collective fashion. So between Jose, myself, and Mary, who, you know, original partners, and we've since expanded, what we did is we came together and we put together a brief where we really explored like all of the cultural things in our lives that really influenced us. You know, for me, I grew up in America, but my parents didn't really allow for me to like really tie into to American media. So growing up, television was very limited, movies were very limited, music was very limited. And so the things that I was able to actually explore in a cultural way were really profound for me, and they were super duper unusual. And there you go, Jose bringing it up. So, you know, things like Akira, Dune, anime, like Koyoanski and The Matrix, like all of these things.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, you know, One Piece. Right. And by the way, I just want to acknowledge Keone's masterful, like we came up with the cultural scape on the fly because he's a master synthesizer and he just used columns, right? But then the categories that he chose, what's happening in the times today, you know, protests, social unrest, the reckoning of like, you know, racial identity in the United States is happening, and gender identity is happening as we speak. All these things are super important. And then all the things that we love watching and that we grew up on, like if you, the year you were born on, look at that year and that's going to be your style. Like if everybody wants to know how you should dress, I'm wearing a Nirvana t-shirt. I was in high school, man. You know, Kurt Cobain, like his voice was the voice of my generation, of Generation X. These are all the symbols of who we are. That's how you create culture, right? It's you wear, you know, exactly what it is. And then Keone has been turning me on to the fact that it's not about brands, it's about culture. And I'm like, yeah, man. At first, when Keone says something, I'm a little bit like, that doesn't sound right. What are you talking about, Willis? And then I just listen. I learned that practice from the Burning Man camp, listening to everybody's stories and just shutting up and saying, oh, the kids are all right. They're actually saying the truth versus me imposing what I think. But the meme section was the idea. What are the current memes in the culture? Freaking Vitalik and Ethereum, huge meme, right? And I can't get Sun Ra to come up, but Sun Ra actually sneaked in behind it because it's actually from an album cover, but it's actually perfect. The Sun Ra, here it is. So if you look at like the Egyptian, iconography of the music in that album, but then you look at if we were to make memes about Keone giving you the message of core, I'm not suggesting that that's what we do. It would be in a Pan-African metaphor, not in a Christian metaphor. That's my point. So that the remix, by having the proximity of those things, lets us know. And then I did this one, like where, how boardrooms are about hierarchy, and the boss is talking to everybody. I said if we were to redo the tacky, because they are definitely tacky, corporate stuff, and we were to mock it, we would do it like, I made this one. I actually literally made this one. Work sessions should feel like this. What's the difference? It's a bunch of kids in a thing full of balls. It's like, yay. So that's
working is playing. That's the
play.
truth. And we could dive. That's a whole other philosophy. Naruto, Pape was like, I don't see Naruto.
Had problem clients, then learns core. Wow, now he's really powerful. So we use and this one is super powerful. I honestly, Keone, I'm very uncomfortable with this one, but I get it, and we have to put it out because of the inside joke is just like brutally uncomfortable. Right. Why didn't someone warn us that capitalism would turn into that? But it's from Django Unchained in a very uncomfortable conversation, that scene. So it has racial overtones. So I'm like, but it's perfect because it was Keone's choice. And then this one, can you talk about it, Keone?
Yeah, definitely. So what we wanted to do is, creative space and the creative world around us is so important to the way that we live our lives, right? And the way that we're able to be our truest self. So this slide was really about if we could create like the ultimate space, like what would our creative space feel like? What would it look like? How would it feel? And so you have, like, for me, like you have like futuristic Wakandan, like neo-tropical, vibes going on. You've got like this Afro-futuristic element here. And you have this lot of exploration into maximalism, where we're bringing all of the cultural items and the things that really excite us together. For me, I brought in a lot of things that were about play, right? And it really came from this really powerful documentary that I watched that talked about children and the importance of play. And what was really powerful about the documentary is they said that for children, like when you see them playing, it looks like they're working. And there is really no difference between work and play other than the choice and the way that we embrace our curiosity as a motivation for us to do the work that we're doing. Right. So when a children is sitting there building Legos, for example, that's no different than, when I'm working on my motorcycle or when I'm architecting and I'm building a brand strategy. Like, it's still the same thing, but it's a choice that I have taken, and it's an exploration into my curiosity, and it's this drive for discovery, the theme of today. So this was really all about that. You have Buckminster Fuller, who has really pioneered like algorithmic thinking and bringing together, shapes into creating structures that can really change the way that we live our world, and to reimagine the way that we live in connection with our environment and ourselves. So you have all of these different explorations in here, and really what it is, it's like all of the cool things that we wish that we could have, and in our creative space that would give us, like creative juju. Like, what would it be? I'm a gearhead. I've had multiple motorcycles, and when I had a bike, like every Sunday you would find me in the garage, covered in grease. And that's sort of what this is reflecting down here, and then but I love the connection to nature. My earliest memory is in Jamaica. And I'm looking down at like my little toddler feet, and I'm looking at red earth, and I'm quite literally looking at my toes in the red earth. And nature is such a powerful creative inspiration for me. you know, and then Jose is like, how do we move into, you know, this maximalism type of place where we can have, you know, all of the things around us that really inspire us. And that was a lot of exploration into like the kitchen, which, you know, Jose, myself, you know, a lot of our friends, we love cooking.
Keone's an amazing chef. Actually, we realized that all of the core leaders, like the top people in our network, are friends who we love and who we're collaborating with in different industries. We're all Tauruses and we all cook. So it was really interesting, right? But I wanted to show you the record stuff, Roxanne, because Rosana, porque record design is really a good inspiration. So Keone has all his records here, but I went out and bought some in Silver Lake. And I love this one because it's a bunch of doors. And it has the el papel cuadrado, tú sabes, atrás, pero it's like portal jumping, right? It's like all these options. And I realized during this conversation that we should make the like, this is cool. You can put this over your thing and take a picture, and then you can put something over it when you're on a Zoom call. Like you can like say, I'm having a thought. Instead of like typing it into the comments, you can just do this, and then somebody takes a screenshot and we share it as a meme. Live, zero distance to truth, meaning that what's happening with the internet now that we're all live on these interactions, everything needs to be fast and it needs to be, but web design is becoming really like, the patterns are really static. So it's kind of hard to innovate. But for an example, our temporary landing page, all we need is to redirect people. You can make it into a game. Like it could be a secret puzzle and it has like, you know, things that, you know, like, and it's like, people are like, what the fuck is that landing page? Like, I have no idea, but everybody who's on this call will know because there were the ideas that we're hearing here, and they'll be like, oh, that's an inside joke, or like, you know, whatever it is, Luffy, or the themes. So design ultimately is a cohesion. It should bring the culture together by having a shared vision of what it is, right? And make people feel good. But right now, we're only designing for the 20 people on this call.
Does that make sense, y'all?
This is the most chaotic briefing ever from a client.
Right?
So this is called pirate style briefings.
And I love it. This is the future, right? And here's something that's really important that I want for us all to take away from this is that there is no process that is the right process, right? It's because it's all iteration. It's a cycle. It's how we take whatever we get from these insights, this meeting, and then that sets an anchor, and then we evolve from that, and then we're constantly pivoting. So it's this constant process of that. So let's move in, and Jose,
I stopped sharing.
Yep. Okay, and so let's dive into a little bit about the process, and this is what I'm gonna generalize it for those of you that are new to this process. And then we're going to talk about our next steps. So this is pretty standard for any, you know, agency, as I shared earlier. But here's the key. It's about co-creation. It's about being able to facilitate valuable conversation and being able to identify the insights in a collaborative way. So what a lot of people think that, or a lot of early brand strategists believe that you have to be this expert on branding to be able to facilitate brand strategy, and you don't. What you need to be developing is the human skills to actually hear, to be able to understand, and then to be able to retell that story, to synthesize this story. So what we just did now was we just went through our why. We talked a lot about our culture and the attributes that really reflect us. We talked about like our vision, our horizontal view, like what is the thing that we want to change and accomplish in the world. And, you know, Roxana has now had a little bit of that understanding. We'll share our brand brief with her so she can take a look at it and she can get a feel. But then the next steps is going to be synthesis, development, and then launch, right? So the next meeting that we're going to have between Roxana and ourselves is going to be her interpretation and her interpretation of our attributes and our why and our purpose and what we're trying to achieve, both from a business perspective, from a perspective based on the personas of you that are in this group, and from our cultural attributes. And based on that, we're going to be like, yes, we like this. And I see how your point of view really gives this a very unique approach.
Yeah, well, whatever you do will be great. It's the thing. And one thing, Keone, because we have to actually answer questions. I mean, we can talk for days and do this live thing. I want to hear reflections from everyone else on what they think about this. But very importantly, Roxana, and for everyone around the topic of discovery, in this joy and in this spirit of, you know, oh my God, this is so much fun, is when you produce the greatest work. And we're going to also introduce you to the other people that are working on the system, and like you can get to jive with them and you can hear their ideas, and like, you know, we should feel like we're all playing, and we're trying to have what the way that I told somebody was, you should bring your greatest self to the arena, and whatever you want to manifest in the world, and your point of view should be in it. Because when we all express ourselves fully and you feel passionate about it, it's like the whole issue of graphic design is not art, right? And we remove, forget about that. This is our art. It's our collective art piece with intention. And it's each of our hearts on the page, on every touch point that we make for the system, it's us. And the reason why, like, it's beautiful and it's touching, you see, there you go, Papa's got it. Somebody screenshot and somebody put that on freaking Instagram. Like, take a screenshot of that. It's really us. There is no, like, you know, there is no mediation of identity and of surface through design, because design has made the world extremely inauthentic, because designers are mediating the stiff, you know, the stiffness of corporate, like, you know, fear over and over and over again. When we start making it messy, when we start making it personal, it starts looking like the internet, right? It starts looking like, you know, a Tumblr feed. It starts looking like the big remix, because that's what we live in. So our identity should feel like it's the great remix, and everyone's point of view should be in it, because it's about inclusion and it's about like the 21st century, not about repeating what the 20th century was, which was Helvetica. And no offense, but Alex, your stuff looks great and it's perfect, because it's almost like mockumentary style, like ponte la corbata. It's like, it's called post-ironic. Like, we're gonna, like, you know, basically design in this, and it is beautiful, because that was the spirit that I started the school in. It was originally called Evil Businessman, and I had this little thing that I ordered as a talisman to remind myself in my studio, in my design studio, all the decor was like 1960s corporate, and it was just, we were mocking like the fact that, you know, that's how business got done back then. So anyway, that's my thing, and let's open it up for questions, Keone.
Yeah. So guys, you know, this was a little bit on the fly, and I hope this made sense to you. It made sense to us, but here's a chance to clear up any kind of misconceptions, or, you know, I know we moved fast and we covered a whole lot of ground in that section. We kind of did like a mini discovery session for you guys, but we want to do it live, you know, and we want to show you guys that a lot of times it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not about it, you know, being neat and fitting in between the lines. It's about a little bit more than that. So let's open up the floor. Anybody with questions, comments, thoughts, commentary? The floor is open. Yeah. So let's start a conversation then about culturescapes. Are any of you guys familiar with culturescapes at all? No?
Just give it a little bit of space, just silence and awkwardness until somebody steps up on stage.
Yeah.
Just let it flow.
I'm curious, what's the difference between a cultural scape and a mood board? Like, is it the same, or how is it in terms of applying it to design? Or
It's a mood board. It's not any different. It just has categories. The categories are what makes it matter. Meaning, like, if I go back to read them, and this is what Keone came up with, and I think you referenced it either from a book or from your past experience. So the Times, also from listening, the Times anime what are the other like categories? Products and fashion, art and architecture. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So-
just made categories. But go ahead, Keone. You made this, so explain it.
So I chose those categories. It was from an anthropological book. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It escapes me, but when it comes to me, I'll reference it. And it was talking about our enculturation and the things that really resonate with us as children and as adults, and as we come into our own with our own identity. And so we can really understand our values through the expressions of the products that we select, through the architecture that really aligns with us, you know, the places that we like to go. You know, do you want to be in the city or do you want to be in nature? Do you want, you know, to drive cars that are really technical and futuristic, or do you want to drive vehicles that are more old school and quirky? You know, like all of these things really reflect cultural values. And so I selected these categories for a couple reasons. A, to really kind of get a feel for the kind of media that really resonates within us. And I think anime is a really incredible place because of the storytelling and the characters that really sit outside of the typical boundaries of characters and mythologies that we grew up with. And then what was the other category that I wanted to reference? Music, of course, super duper important. The musicians that really inspire us and resonate with us, we sort of carry. You know, like I remember the first record that I bought, the first mixtape, first cassette tape that I bought, you know, and that music and that artist has totally resonated with me and carries with me, you know, through this day. The first tape that I ever got was Too Short, Can't Stay Away. And, you know, and he was a pimp talking about how hard the game was and how hard it is for him in these streets. So yeah, you know,
So the categories are also really appropriate to today and to how to make something authentic inside our cultural context and youth culture, meaning like the times, movies, anime, all those things will represent. If you do this for a client, right? Location, where would you want to be as a brand? Music, memes, you know, all of it represents the things that you need to create for it. Art history, like all those things. So they're really nicely done, and we will release the idea of Culturescapes more as content free or otherwise. It doesn't even matter. But we tried it on for us, and that's an example of two DJs designing facilitation tools, Keone Chong and Jose Caballer. Because I'm like, yeah, man, you DJ and you come up with some cool shit, because our shit is our kit. Like whatever we do in our practice and it's innovative, that's what we put out. Because we're basically like live. It's one of the attributes that came out early in my own personal core. I'm really good at doing stuff live. So might as well do everything live. Yeah. And that's where the future is coming from, where experiential, like, did you guys know that Bronner's, the soap company, has a nonprofit that does live events all over the world, all over the US on an ongoing basis to spread what? Love.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to answer Danny's question, and then I'm going to answer Jaja's question. So how can you apply it in a company? So what is really interesting, and Mauro actually touched on this. So Mauro, if you want to come on stage and, you know, and talk about this for a little bit. What I wanted to do is I wanted to try to create a creative exercise that allowed for us to sort of explore the why in a visual sense. So all of the questions and the way that we facilitated that exercise, it really reflected a lot of our whys, a lot of our personalities, where we come from, the things that drive us, right? The way that we define ourselves. Like all of those things are reflected in the type of cultural expressions that are listed in the Culturescape. But Mauro, you said that you use it to apply, and you apply it to the why of the company. Would you like to share how you apply it?
Right. I think you know, just like Jose is actually mentioning in the chat, it really depends on the client. It really depends on the company itself. The Culturescapes takes a lot of the elements from core, specifically the attributes dealing with your voice, with your culture. It really And how I use that is I try to define the reason why we're doing, for example, a specific campaign or a specific design or a specific type of photography or video, whatever it is. Who are we talking to? How do we need to talk about it? As well as I was having this conversation with Keone not too long ago. One of the things that I try to do is the personal philosophy of whatever it is that you take or whatever it is that you find, you leave it better than how you found it. And I think Portraitscapes, it gives you a really good visual representation of what that could potentially do. It isn't necessarily anything like a stylescape where you're literally translating it. It can be very much like a mood board of what Keone showed us earlier, where it was really had all these different combinations and photos from all these different places, and you were just getting this sort of feeling out there. It can really vary, and I try to use the Portraitscape to really answer and define the why. At least that's one of the ways that I do it with one of my clients, and it's something that I'm always running in my head. Right? Is this working? How do I need to shift this? How do I take the information that I already have, rearrange it so it actually makes sense?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It does make sense. And for those of you guys, Mauro is an incredible brand designer. He's an incredible strategist. I've learned so much from him. Hopefully he's learned a lot from me. We've gone through the trials and tribulations of most small agencies. Like quite literally, we started, our relationship started at a bar. It started at Footsie's, dude. At it was at Frank's birthday,
Yeah.
And they came up to me and we had a little conversation, and that blossomed into, all right, well, you live here, I live here with my girl, Mike lives over here, let's just meet up at this coffee shop and let's just start talking about your clients, which evolved into me starting to manage the business relationship of things, which led to me being really concerned about the fidelity and execution of the products. And that was really the door that opened up into brand strategy and Jose, and getting our first little office that was like that could fit like 5 people, and then it was basically the closet, but we went through it. It was like hanging out at bars, hanging out at coffee shops, building up enough clientele to actually get a space, building up enough clientele to get the biggest spaces at the top floor of the spot, bringing on new people. Like we went through the whole process. And through it all, it was really about, it was strategy that really allowed for us to scale. It was being able to understand the client at a deeper level, and being able to execute. So powerful share, Mauro, and thank you for that. And guys, make sure that you connect with Mauro, incredible designer, incredible talent and expertise. Reach out to him, connect with him, and check out his work.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So Jaja, welcome to the stage. The mic is yours.
Hi everyone, so lovely to see you. My question is, after running the, I'm at the end of the core discovery process with one of my clients who is about to launch their recruitment brand. Now, my question is, what is the tangible thing that I'm deliver to the client? What kind of document is that does that need to include? Do you see what I mean? So I have all this sort of workshop book, everything listed, who is brand statement, customer profiles, and who we are, priorities. Yeah. So and what do I do from there? What kind of document do I deliver to the client?
And so I'll share, and then, I'd like for Jose to share, and then maybe even Mauro, because, Mauro has been facilitating core and delivering core. And he's worked with some really interesting brands as well. So maybe if I can have him come up to the stage and share, that would be awesome. So I'll start with myself. For myself, the way that I always position I never tell them that it's core, but I just position the brand strategy. And basically what I tell them is this: it's supposed to be a living document, right? There's no strategy, isn't just, you don't just set it and then you walk away from it. It's something that I think that you should really be addressing at least twice a year. And what that means is you want to be validating, your attributes and your positioning statement. So the brand statement that I call it a positioning statement.
Okay.
Because the way that I have interpreted it, and everybody can have their own interpretation, but the way that I've looked at it is it really helps, create your own container for your brand and how you are unique.
Can you show it? Do you have one on your computer?
Not on this one.
I have a few, but continue then if you don't.
Yeah. So see if you can bring something up. So for me, I liken it to that. Like, it's like a mix between a positioning and a mission statement, because it's also talking about what you're doing on a daily basis.
I wish Mary was on here because she also has a lot of really great thoughts on that. But I'm going to show you an example, but go ahead, Jaja.
Yeah. And so I start with that and attributes, right? And their top attributes. Then I do their profiles as we understand them now. And then their priorities, and their priorities as a as like an agile backlog, meaning it's where you will see all of the things that we want to do, but we're prioritizing the things that we can do right now in this next sprint, right? And the sprint will usually be like a month or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And the key is every single time that we go to the work that needs to be done, we're always referencing the strategy, right? That's how we can keep objectivity and avoid shiny object syndrome, because it's going to happen. A client is going to see something that their competitor does or something else, and they're like, oh my God, I had this great idea. This thing hit me in the shower. This is what we should do. And then you say, okay, well, let's look at all of the things that we're doing, right? Let's look at who our customers are. Let's look at how we positioned ourselves. Let's look at all of the things that we have on the backlog, right? If it's important enough, sure, let's add it to the backlog. But it's a way that we can always kind of keep direction. It's like a navigator's wheel on a ship, right? It's always like keeping us pointed. It's that North Star.
Well, one thing I want to show you guys is the before and after, right? So if you look at everyone, right, and it because it was a gradual transition of the brand, like you can't, in a brand that's been around for 25 years, or this one for 9 because it's a secondary brand, you can't like make these hard jumps, right? It's not going to be a new brand. So here's the brief, right? And in the brief, also the audience matters. Are you presenting to a design team? Are you presenting to a marketing team? The marketing team is going to want different things. I was presenting to the design team and to the founders. So what I did is that I translated the attributes. Like, for example, I put them in this kind of pyramidal, structure. And these changed. Actually, no. Playful, natural, and purposeful, I think, were the customer experience. Remember the new kit? I do 3. The reason why I did that is because you can't be all the attributes. You got to force the client to choose 3, and 3 is a very good number. Mind, body, spirit. Fidelity. It's always 3 when you see it under a seal, right? For an institution or an organization, because you can't remember more stuff. So this came from the past. That everyone is welcome was a campaign and a foundation that had come from somebody else, but I included it because I'm weaving what already is in motion with something that's new. So there's a very nuanced answer to the question, what do you present? You have to be situationally aware so that you can modify your briefs and know exactly what notes you have to hit. So one thing that's always a conversation for us is, how do you translate the attributes? So I said, this is how I translate it to my design team, which, also were very experienced with core, or with brand strategy specifically, not with core. And I basically, myself as a curator, found references to the word, playful, fond of games and amusement, lighthearted, giving. So one word, one attribute out of the 3 expands into all of this visual language. And now if you look at the design, because everybody is looking at this brief internally, it's very playful, right? Even like the new rebrand, it's just very playful. So now, and look at all the reference, you're seeing the references before the product actually came out. What does welcoming mean? Like, you know, if people hugging, people loving in different cultures, you know, look at that. Like all the rituals of welcoming, you know, and that's what you're gonna see, you know, in the vibe. Hi, the girl's welcoming you. Did you notice how the brief is affecting the story and the narrative of the whole brand? Because you did that prioritization and you gave it to everybody, and then it expands when things are created. Community became a super important part. Circle, get it? That's also my point of view. If everyone looks like my point of view philosophically, it's because what I said to them during the briefing process was, I love what, you know, Bronner's does, because they put their brand of crazy on their bottle. Their religion is all one for all, right? And we are in the religion of modernism, because the founder of EO Products, she was a designer. She started her career in fashion, and she, just like John Sencion, and all the books and all the references were wabi sabi, were fashion designers, were fashion brands, and we we looked through her crates. I visited their homes, like we had dinner, like we got to know each other. It wasn't a discovery, it was a merger of tribes. And they trusted me to like be the leader of their brand because I was one of them.
That's very interesting, because I got into talking to one of the business partner, and we were talking about, oh, Jaja, so my, you know, and he said, oh, I'm a fan of Star Wars. I said, well, have you got me on your poster as Jar Jar Binks as one of the
and we love Jar Jar Binks here because it's a whole inside joke about Jar Jar.
Oh yeah, you can call me Binksy. And then he showed me his posters on the wall. And I was like, okay, brilliant. So I'm getting to know this guy. Yeah, totally, I got it. So it's translating the attributes into some sort of visual language that is
let them know that you know them, because the mistake that designers make is that they impose their own vision. Like I had to fix a project that I referred. That's the other reason why I'm so scared of referring people, because then I have to fix the stuff. That's my responsibility. When I introduce people, I want them to work out well. So I introduced Keone. Is it okay if I tell the story briefly, because you and Mauro are on it?
Go for it, man.
So Keone did an amazing job for this cannabis brand that I introduced him to. You know, and it's such a perfect case study. We should do a whole show about it one day, or not, because let's just keep it here and intimate. And you know, Mauro called me that he was having challenges on the project, and the client called me too. So I was on the phone talking to all of them one after the other, and the issue was, were we seeing her? You know, it was, you know, she's a yogi. She wanted to. The design was perfect, actually. You guys took it. Pretty much you were like at 95% there. But then after I listened to her a little bit more and I made her feel like, okay, she understood, I added a few little details and I made it like, I gave it the last final little plating like a chef before, and she was very happy. The project was a bit of a challenge, but it wasn't really because of any fault of the team. The team did amazing. It was really ultimately the destiny of the project, which is fine. When you do startups and new businesses, and innovation, remember that most of the businesses, most startups fail. So your responsibility is to do your best to synthesize for them and to work the 365 of making the business work. And Keone is a master at that, because he was able to get into about business models, about authenticity in business modeling. Now Mauro is becoming a master at that down in Ensenada, because he's a leader of his community and all the entrepreneurs are coming to him. So we're the new masters. Papa's doing it down in South America. You seem, I can just looking at you, I know you're doing it, Jaja, in wherever you come from. And connecting with the values of your clients is the #1 way to get work that resonates for them. Because they're like, you know me. Oh my God, you know me. I couldn't have designed it better myself. It's that connection of a Latin lover that can dance with everyone that makes you a great facilitator.
Amazing. Thank you.
I brought it home to Latin America.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Just a little plus, and I think everything that's been said. You know, I think one of the big key things that has changed for me over the years whenever I'm dealing with a client or I'm dealing with a specific project, is I try to really dive deep into what is the reason why these people are creating this business? Why does it exist? And having really open and frank conversations about what's the history, what's the story. I think one of the biggest clients that I have is Corpus, Corpus glasses. This one specifically. I've been working with them for about 1.5 years. They're a 2-year-old company. And when they started, they were in a really interesting place where, they had a good idea. They had an interesting start, where they have a very similar model to Warby Parker. But they weren't really taken off. They weren't really moving forward. And when I came in, and I really tried to explore everything that they were all about. And then I found out the story behind why they actually started this glasses company. And it turns out to be that it was actually a really beautiful story. It's sort of tragic in the start, but it became something that is so much more meaningful. And this company started through the death of the owner's son. And he was an artist, and he was an illustrator, and he was just hugely passionate. And for whatever circumstance, he passed away. And they weren't telling that story. And for me, it took a little bit of time. It took a little bit of a massaging and really in talking to the owner. Okay, if you will allow me to tell your story in a deeply responsible and transparent way, this company can really have something that people can connect with and can really get behind. And then really understanding from that story, really tailoring what the actual visual system and identity and everything, how it should look like, how it should feel, what should people really get out of it. And I think that's something that is hugely important. Another client that I have here, they're from Oaxaca, and they have like those like curious shops, and they sell very like those rugs from Oaxaca, and they have a very indigenous background. And for this coffee shop, it was I talked to them. I talked to the owner's parents, and I really dove deep into that culture, really trying to understand where they're coming from, why they did what they did. And I ended up creating an identity that was based on one of the characters from one of their folklore stories from mythologies. And it turned out to be something really, really wonderful. We're turning that into now architecture and branding and packaging and everything else. So there's a huge, it's hugely important to really understand that why, right? To really get into the heads and really try to find that emotional connection that you and the client can have, so you can open that up to everybody else around and really create something meaningful. Whether it's through design, messaging, marketing, whatever it is, like that is something that is incredibly valuable.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful. Is
is
that story online?
I can share I can share if you allow me to share my screen, I can show you some examples.
Yeah.
Go for it. Hold on one second.
Let's see.
And I know that, okay, we're up on time, Keone, so we should allow people that need to leave to go, and anybody who wants to stay a little bit. So why don't we let's share the dismount, talk about core a little bit, and end everything, and then go into a post session so that people that need to go can go.
Yeah, let's totally do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So share the screen, a little bit of music. Let's do a drop, a download. Let's do the rituals ending. And the reason why I'm doing that, guys, is the expectation of like an hour and a half. It's a corporate meeting thing. You want to do it, but then allow for permission. somebody else. It's the whole issue of asking for permission and being polite. You know, Roxana, if you guys have to go, Alex, if you have to go, thank you guys for being here. First of all, super excited to just bring the tribe together, and honored to have you. I said this in our previous call. It is my honor to be having an opportunity to work with you guys, because you guys are the new masters. You know, I'm an old master, and you know, I should be retired soon. It's all about you. The system is about you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jose. So today's Q&A was, as always, brought to you by Coors Magic. Check us out at CoorsMagic.com if you're really interested in picking up a kit for yourself and really diving into your journey of being a brand strategy facilitator.
And tell a friend, make payments, like, you know, get together, pool your money together to buy it. It's March 31st. One more friend to buy when this text me if you need, you know, anything from Core. I'm happy to like just chat with you about it.
Absolutely. So yeah, check us out always. We're on all of the interwebs, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. These are our call signs. Check us out at Core Brand Strategy Fundamentals. We're going to be changing it to Brand Strategy Foundation soon, but that's what the name is currently as it stands. And as always, like and subscribe. So we didn't really dive into an upload or a download today, but I'm going to leave this upload with this very powerful quote that is from actually the military, and it's from Colin Powell. And what he does is he talks about his ability to make decisions. And he says, all you need is 30% of the information to make a decision. You know, for so many of us, we want to wait until we have all the information, till everything is perfectly aligned. And the truth of the matter is we don't need everything to make the first step. And in each step, you will get all of the information you know to validate the next step. So as always, guys, much love. You guys are powerful. You guys are incredible. You guys can create anything imaginable. And, you know, be creative every day. Don't stop creating.
Yeah, and what we should do, Mauro will come to our next office hours. And actually, if you want to see the Corvus case study, you got to come back.
Yeah, let's do that. Mauro.
Yeah, come back next Friday. Continue programming. We could go on for hours and have it be Latin style here and pull out some like, you know, dominoes, but you know, some of us have to do stuff. And there's also the transition time. Like I need like an hour after these calls to like calm down and like go get water, go outside, go get a little bit of exercise, because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Drink your water, which I just saw there. Thank you. That's
Hydro homies.
Hydro Binks.
Drink up.
Pet your cats.
Binks, that was an awesome question. Let us know how that project runs, you know, super excited for you. And
John, thank you for coming, man.
Yeah, dude, great to have you.
This is the period after church where you can unmute your mics and we can all say goodbye and say words.
Alrighty, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye. That should be a ritual. We say adieu. We have a little song or a little saying, and then we say goodbye. That's how we should do it. Like as you leave, you say what you got out of the session. Let's do that.
All right, let's do
that's
that.
The summary. All right, you have 30 seconds to summarize, and then you say goodbye. So everybody unmute themselves. Keone put some. We're doing the upload. Yeah, we're doing it live. Here we go. Ready? Say something and leave.
I'm so happy for you and Roxana, guys. See ya.
Bye. Hania, it looks great. I have a lot of feedback, but we should do a session.
Since we had a hat day, can we do a cat day, please, or a pet day? Come on, look at the cats.
Yes. All right, we'll make it this Friday. You announce it right now that this Friday is bring your pet to design therapy.
I got Facundo. Got the dog, guys.
Yeah.
Facundo. And you have to introduce him at the beginning.
Got you. I got you.
Spread that rumor. But Patricia can't leave because she's manning the door.
I'm super glad to be here, and the reinforcement of the culturescapes was really cool. So look forward to hearing more about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Bjorn.
Thanks, guys.
Peace, bro.
Peace.
Okay, so here comes the woo-woo, and
Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the woo.
And man, I've been connecting a lot with cycles today. I feel like this moment I've already lived it before, and coincidentally, I have this drawing I did on our first webinars last year, and I have Jose there. And then something you said today at Alexis Live that was listen to listen is here written as well. And man, it's crazy how these cycles come. It's just every day and night, sleep, go to bed, every week, every month, every trimester, every year, every 5 years, every 10 years. If you pay attention, the same things are happening every single time. And I'm
the
just
same
coming
trip every single time.
And now 1 year later, I'm coming back to the same place where this is the moment to go all in Papa Inc. and Psychotropic and get put into the side the client project, and I'm so excited about that. And Jose, I'm starting to sell stuff in my studio just to get the money for the rent. Like, I heard that and I'm fucking doing it.
Bravo.
Marie Kondo, say thank you.
Okay, I love to be here always.
We love having you, Hania.
Good job on the website, Hania. It's looking amazing. And it doesn't matter, just put it out, start putting it out, start spreading it. We'll help you make improvements to it over time.
Okay, I think
it doesn't have to be perfect.
With the system, this is the result of all of these meetings.
But we want you to show it.
I'm getting clear.
We want you to show it to us and tell us how the people that helped you make your website. Because
Okay,
this
we
is
organize.
us sharing that story is how we're going to transform Latin America, because you are the model of the people that you want to teach in Latin America. And we embraced you and we love you and we help you because that's what we do. Everyone in our community gets transformed.
Thank you very much.
Through design. Like, we're all Mary Kondoing the shit out of the world because that's our job. This is like Queer Eye, but in scale. Like, we're redesigning everyone's lives to be better and to make money and to live.
Thank you. I love to hear this. I'm very excited. It's great. Thank you very much.
You're amazing, Hania. We love you. We are Hania.
We are Hania. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks to
See you on
everyone.
Friday.
Bye. Now, Adriana, who is also Hania.
Yes.
Bye, Tanya. We love you.
Adiós, gatito. ¿Cómo se llama el gatito?
Thank you.
Pita.
Gatita, perdón.
Pita.
Pita. Oh, qué lindo.
Pita es una gatita.
Pita es una gatita, exactly. Bye, Adriana.
Bye. Muchas gracias.
Bye.
Chao.
Okay, ciao.
Natasha, say goodbye.
Ciao, Natasha. Papa, you are great. Keone was beautiful today also.
Thank you.
It's really very interesting. It's amazing, the information. The information that you are offering is really powerful. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Honored to be
Life
here.
is a trip. Oh.
Life is definitely a trip. And we're on it right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Papa and I are the hype team. Right?
One day we should meet all together in Los Angeles.
Yes.
One day.
Oh man.
Manifesting. My first travel goal is the US. So you better. I need to visit next year if everything goes well.
Yes,
Please host me.
You have a home. You have a home here.
Yes, thank you. Oh.
I want to go to Burning Man.
Okay,
You
you
have
have
a home at Burning
here.
Man.
Actually,
You have a home at
flat
Burning Man.
here. But
Where-
Berlin welcome you. Yes.
You have to, well, let's talk separately about it.
Yes,
That's the
we
VIP
have-
room.
Whenever you're in the UK, come to see me in London.
Here we go.
I'm coming. I'm crossing the
Be
pond, baby.
coming.
Be coming.
And to Mexico as well.
Yes.
Valetti is like, what did I walk into?
Ensenada. Oh, some of the best seafood I've ever had in my life.
Right. Ceviche.
Oh my God. And you already know when I come down, we're going straight to that fish taco spot. You already know.
Yeah.
Straight to her.
Hey, anybody inviting me? I'm feel left out here.
Oh, wait, you.
Maurice in Portugal.
I'm like,
Maurice in Portugal, Patricia is in
Philippines.
Philippines, Mauricio
If you
in
want,
Colombia.
if you want to surf, have fun and travel, I got you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the Filipino food, I got you guys. I got
oh my
you.
Lord, it's Asian and Latin at the same time.
Exactly.
Keone, it's your food.
Oh my gosh.
I'm your hype girl, Keone.
Oxtail. Oh.
It's
let's
called
go.
kare kare.
Lumpia. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
My mom makes the bomb ass lumpia in the world.
Oh. Mama, I'm coming.
You guys
We
are
are
talking crazy,
coming.
but I'm liking it. I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds really tasty.
And we can drink also clamato with beer with the Mexican people.
Oh
yeah.
With
Oh my
the
God, it's
German, with the
gonna be a
Germans, we have very good beer.
pan Asian, pan Caribbean, because Keone's half Chinese, half Jamaican. Oh my God, it's the remix. Arsene J, Jinder, Mauricio, Emily. Don't let the Latin people take over. You got to step in. Valetti.
You also have invites
have
for
to
Serbia.
create
If you are.
something
Hold on,
with
Hania.
our
Hold on, Hania.
class.
Hold on, Hania. Let Arsene J say something.
You also have invite to Serbia, although our food is a little bit heavy. So if you are,
We're
if you
open
are
to it.
Would you like some meat?
yeah,
Or-
yeah, like real.
How about some more meat? No,
Yeah.
our
Let's
third
all
course
meet.
is more meat. I'm like, ooh, this is great. It's
Let's
meat.
all meet in LA and bring our cuisine there and have fun.
Oh my God, it sounds like LA.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the station. And then we'll bring our food and our people and our culture and we'll all share beers.
And we'll
right?
drive taco trucks around LA and have Serbian
Exactly.
food.
I know. Seriously.
The Serbian taco truck in LA is called Just Meat.
Exactly. I just want to say it was awesome. I gotta go, and Pape, I'm hoping we can match the time zone.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking because since last Friday, I wanted to keep listening to our Senije story. So we're planning on a meetup to just connect and understand the story. I am also with Casey. I will be joining tomorrow and just connecting, connection is the currency. So yeah.
Connection is the currency. That's
And
what
the
I said.
connection is in the story. So yeah.
Yes.
So for a meme, Pape, Mauro just said, oh my God, a Systm food truck. And I'm like, yeah, but then everybody designs their own food truck if you're going to have a food truck. And it's like, we have them all. Those are the stickers. It's a little food
Yo.
truck with your food. It's our little secret because it came up here.
So check it out. When I launched my family's restaurant in 2008, it originally was a business plan for a food truck. And I have that somewhere floating around. I can pull that up and let's go.
I want to know the last session of the last Friday is on internet, it's in Facebook.
I'm behind. I've been a little nervous about putting the design therapy ones because people are really getting to share. And even this one now, I'm nervous. But you know what? We're putting the party out. Like I'm fine that people are being very open. It's a really great show, and everyone consents. We have to start doing that a little bit more officially at the beginning. Like by being here, you consent to be on air. Most of us are happy to be on air because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build our personal brand, which is fine. But I just want to be conscious of the people that don't want to share themselves.
Yes, of course. Yes. I understand. I have missed it. That was really.
I'll post them just for you, Hania. I'll make a note in the post just for Hania. Here are the ones that I'm behind on. And we also need more help, so we're starting to build the team around posts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I will be more than happy to help you. Really.
Oh, there we go. We got a
Yes,
problem,
I'm
Hania needs to
here.
update,
Yes.
and we got a person to do them. So let's do a session. You can join our sessions that we do every week with the team, and we'll talk about it.
Oh, great. Yes, I will love it.
Welcome to
Yes.
the inner circle.
Count with me. Yes, count with me. It will be a honor.
Jose, and I think for the social media, like what you said with the challenge of the food truck would be amazing, because it's like an easy way to introduce your story without like going really deep. But it's like what Keone just did with the cultural, what was it called?
Yeah, the cultural scape.
Cultural scape, but related to food. And I think it would be amazing to all of us being creating like part of the social media. And as well with the hero journey story, I think it's really nice carousel, like in a brief and synthesized way, like that could be amazing. Like,
but here's the crazy thing. You know how you say that you've seen this story before? I had a conversation with the VP of marketing for the Kogi truck in front of the Kogi truck in downtown LA when I lived here, and he was Korean, and then there was Latin people, and it was like Asian and Latino people sitting there in the street. We were talking, you know, smoking, and we were talking about how did they do it. And he's like, yeah, I saw his food and it was amazing, and he wanted to do a food truck. So I had this friend who's a designer, and we were like, what's the most like, you know, impactful and poppy thing that will show up on Twitter on the icon that we can do, and we can use Twitter. So they were blending technology. The guy had an MBA, so he knew that, like, you know, taco trucks were a trend and it was becoming more popular. But then they were taking advantage of, this is in 2008 or 9. Twitter had just come out, right? Or Twitter had just become like a thing. So on the streets of LA, the story of a famous chef being born was because he was mixing the times, technology, what's in the culturescape, design, like, you know, what's the visual language, the thing, and business, to come up with a new idea. They were and they used to roll with dance crews. So they knew each other because they were b-boys. So they already had like an LA Latino like culture, you know, reference. It was their tribe, and they built an empire. You roll with your tribe, and that's how you build empire. This is our tribe right here. And we're each individually building empires all over the world. And it's not empires for wealth. It's not empires for fame. It's empires for love. Man, put that into a lyric.
And you know, for people, like if you do the reverse engineering or of core, because most of the time you see the ideas already outside. But if you go like to this go back to the need to be part of our community, needs to tell their story, needs to find themselves. So sometimes you can see that as like a really abstract thing, but when you translate that to design, this is how you translate it to design. Like you made it part of your social media, of your blogs. Even if it's for example, for us in our t-shirts, we have a playlist with artists from Panama that we have blogs to share, like, and I know that you see, and that when you see the customer use, the customer needs is the glue. Like they were just talking about the discovery and the brief, and that's the first funnel. But all of that will open up again and show all over your brand identity. But then the identity is worked by the community. The community, the needs is what brings the email marketing, the ads, the social media, the web page, like all of it together.
Do you want to know something that only the people that get to stay to the end will hear? What I'm actually doing is the data matching exercise live. I'm remixing all the influences in real time because it's our contribution. And where did I learn how to do that?
Burning Man.
And then what's my medium? Live, YouTube, live. So I'm using my medium with what I learned at Burning Man and from cooking. Really interesting cuisine comes from mixing influences, right? So the other issue is authenticity. So for us to create a brand that is like, the thing that companies struggle with is coming up with a cohesive narrative on social media. And I'm like, well, fuck the cohesive narrative. Let's do the narrative in these sessions. And then everybody puts out their own thing, that what they heard. So the brand is not being created by me or by Keone or by the entity that is the system. The brand is being created by the system, by the people. And I posted that on Instagram a few years ago. The system designs itself. Like every attribute of how what I was learning on my journey, I just left like a tattoo, right? Tattoos are our stories. So at the significant points in my journey, a pirate goes to a port and tattoos that lesson on their bodies so that they can remember. that story. And when they're having like dinner with their pirates, they can go like, oh man, do you remember that Kraken that captured us and like, almost sunk our ship, right? That's shared storytelling, and the Kraken becomes a symbol. But the Kraken was actually a woman in Barbados. So we embed things into metaphor, and that's what designers do. We're pirates for ideas. And you go to a different port and you have to like express it. In the 21st century, we're actually building the businesses too. Mauro's in Ensenada with the entrepreneurs on the street. Hania wants to go to Latin America and like through core and through what she's learning and through design, help scientists come up with new companies. We're all doing it in our own ways, but it's basically, I'm trying to replicate myself. Like I lived in downtown many years ago. I was involved with the entrepreneurs and the community. I built my business on being connected, on being me. So now it's like, how do we all build our businesses by just being yourself? I used to judge that, by the way. I used to judge me being me like weird. And then when I worked with Chris, what Chris showed me was who I really was. And I'm like, oh, that is so good. Chris is my father in that sense. He's the one who told me to go become the man that I am. We're brothers. We're different pirates. We fly different crews. We're shooting shit at each other through our crews, but it's like hip hop. Like in our songs, we'll go like boom, 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 boom. I am the antidote, but together we're one still, right? What I mean by that is that if you look at what Chris is creating and what we're creating here, all of it together works. It's a system that works. He's starting to do more content about being yourself. We're starting to do more content about being a little bit tighter, right? Like we're borrowing the powers from the other masters with no judgment and in complete love. Because we're also connected through business, because core sells on the future. So that's the future. We are the system. And it's about cooperation as pirates flying different ships, but making money together and living well together. Abundance is a team sport. It's not like an individual capitalistic, extractive sport. That's the old system. The new system is not let's get rich together. The new system is let's build the DNA of a new culture. Let's build the DNA of a new world in real life, meaning like instead of doing surface businesses and like, ooh, I want to make some money, it's let's redesign Latin America. Let's actually build back our rituals. Let's bring back the power that we had as indigenous people. It's real, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. Every movement rises to meet the times. And we are the diaspora. We are the future. We are, if we don't survive and if Africa and Latin America don't adapt quickly enough to this new way of thinking, we will die. The planet will be destroyed because developing nations, every 1%er is freaking out and worrying about, shit and, India and like this and that, because overpopulation in the world is the primary issue. And the issue is that we're exporting American culture inauthentically to everyone and telling them that, God wants you to be rich and have a refrigerator and a car and you're going to own your own thing and your neighbor's going to own the same thing. If we spread the American dream, we will kill the planet. So we need to redesign it. And that's really ultimately it. That's the philosophy in what we're doing. It's through design that we can redesign the world. It's not going to be through business.
That is so cool. I'm so inspired by that.
Wakanda forever, motherfuckers. All right. I'm editing all this shit out, by the way.
By the way, I'm a fan of Chris Big. He's ever looking for an Asian sister, can you tell him about me?
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jose.
Well, love you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Let's get off of this thing.
We love you too, Jose.
Keone, always an amazing job. Pape,
yes,
Patricia,
yes.
Thank you for being the hype people. Emily, you are amazing. Just seeing you here feels so good. And Arsene J is like, it's Pape in another port, in another. Yeah. And then we have Captain Mauro Medina Susare, who's actually Mauricio.
Not Mauro.
Yeah. And you're going to be working together because Mauricio, that's what we, and you said, Mauro and Mauricio. Oh my God, we're playing the same movie. The user profiles are blending.
Yes.
They're actually people. And Jaja, you're actually also one of the user profiles. You are
Yeah.
our primary user profile.
Mhm.
It's an Asian
I
woman.
I'm
Yeah.
such an honor to be here.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped.
Saying hi from a Southeast Asian sister.
The Asian system. Patricia.
House. Holla.
And we are all Hania.
We
And
are
we're all
all-
Hania.
Yeah, Hania. Yes.
Yeah. Love you guys. I'm gonna kill this
Bye.
thing. Keone, you want to say?
See you
drop
Friday.
it.
You know,
Drop it.
I think the most important thing that we can take away from today's session is how connected we are. Like the vibes that we shut down, like half an hour ago, and here we are still vibing, still connecting. So, connection is a currency, y'all. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you.
Yes, yes.
You guys are each super, super powerful. You guys are incredibly creative. And there's no doubt that you guys can create anything that you imagine, even the future.
This is what I'm talking about. Networking. Networking.
That's right.
Connections.
Loving. Love you, Hania.
Yes,
Bye, everyone.
look.
Peace, y'all.
And 3, 2, 1. Portal is closing.